This is Bob Jordan, author of How They Did It, Billion Dollar Insights from the Heart of America. I'm talking today with my good friend Gerald Haman. Gerald and I have known each other for, well, let's just say many years so that we don't date ourselves. But, you know, it's a pleasure to know you. Gerald, you're an inspiration. I could start citing so many things about you. Holding the world record for the largest brainstorming session has to be the, literally, and that has to be the first thing we're going to talk about. So,
sure.
Please tell us, how did you get the world record for leading the biggest brainstorming session on the planet?
Well, it involved bringing together the biggest brainstorming group with some of the best brains from Singapore. And the government of Singapore wanted to celebrate the 20th anniversary of their productivity movement. And they wanted to do something that they had never done before. And I wanted to do something I had never done before. And so we set a goal to generate lots of ideas in a very short amount of time. So we brought together 8,000 people to the Singapore Stadium. And in 1 hour, we generated 454,000 ideas.
454,000 ideas.
My goal was 400,000, so we beat the goal. And now I'm on a path to break that record. And within the next year, I'd like to bring a group of people together to generate 1 million ideas.
More to be described there. We won't steal your thunder on
Sure.
that. Now, we're in a wonderful space. This is the Thinkubator. This is what you thought up years ago, and where you lead and your facilitators lead corporations in brainstorming. Can you tell us a little about the space we're in?
Well, the space was originally inspired by a request from a client that said they wanted to have us facilitate a meeting. And when I asked them where they wanted to meet, she said, oh, we have a great new conference room that's just been remodeled. And when I took a look at it, it looked like the typical conference room. And I said, do you want your people to think outside of the box? And she said, yes, that's why we came to you. And I said, well, then don't put their brains in a box. And most people spend most of their time working in box-like environments where they experience cubicle creativity, where the size of their ideas is proportional to the amount of space in which they feel they have to think.
Oh, I like that as a formula. That's good.
And so I created the Thinkubator as a meeting facility for small businesses, entrepreneurs, and some of the world's largest corporations to come and accomplish a great deal in 1 or 2 or 3 days at the Thinkubator.
So now the entrepreneur is beyond solo and understands that they have something that could be a commercial reality. They have formed a team around them. And can you give some advice to that team in terms of how best to brainstorm as they're thinking through their biggest opportunities?
Well, I think they need to know some alternative ways to brainstorming, not just standing in front of a group of people or sitting around a table brainstorming ideas that are written on a flip chart or whiteboard. There's a wide array of different techniques for better brainstorming. I found, though, that most entrepreneurs need to understand that there's a process to come up with those ideas and to turn them into valuable solutions. And so I've spent nearly 2 decades creating a 4-stage process called the Accelerated Innovation Process that involves 4 stages: investigating needs, creating ideas, evaluating solutions, and activating plans. And a successful entrepreneur needs to quickly take their team through all 4 of those stages. And I've also found that they need to know how to collaborate to innovate. And there are different types of thinkers that have different styles of communicating and ideating and innovating. And the more the entrepreneur knows about his or her team, the more effective they can be in getting to the path to profits more rapidly.
Now, I've been in some of your brainstorming sessions, and they were wonderful.
You were a nice addition, I recall.
Thank you, and I've used some of your tools. What do you think what's the biggest mistake or problem or pitfall that you see teams make when they are trying to brainstorm?
Well, they don't invest sufficient time to get to the quality ideas. Entrepreneurs and many people are in a hurry. And when I ask people, what is the #1 block to your ability to be creative and innovative, they always say lack of time. And if you expect that you can bring a group of people together for 15 minutes or an hour and come up with some breakthrough solutions or bright ideas, that's not always realistic. And so people need to have the awareness that it takes time to get the results. Now, if you've got the right team together of diverse thinkers, you can accelerate that. And if you have a variety of tools and techniques, you can speed up that process as well.
So the solo entrepreneur, let's say, is a good creative thinker and innovator and can brainstorm well. And then you have that small team, and they're also very good at it. But then you have the next stage when a company gets to size. I was reading something about Google that, with tens of thousands of employees has become somewhat bureaucratic. Microsoft at 90,000 employees. What is your coaching for management teams of these established organizations that inherently become bureaucratic? How do you coach them to stay fresh in terms of generating new ideas?
Well, you've asked a good question, especially when you focus on how to help people stay fresh. And oftentimes in these bigger corporations where people are working on large teams, they seem very disconnected from the bigger picture, or they don't understand what part of the puzzle they are. And so that's where some facilitated team experiences where people are brought back together to take a look at the big picture, the final mission, vision, and what the big goals are, and then where their pieces fit into that larger puzzle. And people need to be clear by continually being aware of where they are and where they're going. And it takes some creative thinking in order to do that. And I've also found that people have a lot of ownership over those ideas that they feel they help create. And if everybody feels that they can contribute to the end goal, that'll have a lot of ownership and a lot of what you would call refreshing perspectives that they wouldn't normally have.
So, Gerald, one day I pick up my copy of the New York Times, and I'm reading, and I see this story about someone at an airport who the airport shut down or everyone was stuck, and someone in the terminal put up a sign, and it said something like free brainstorming sessions, and a line formed in front of this person, and he did all of this free brainstorming for people. And then, of course, I see the name of the person, and it's you. And I'm thinking, this is amazing. So you have to tell us that story.
Well, I travel a great deal and spend, unfortunately, too much time in airports. And I've strived to make the most of every minute of time that I have when I'm waiting for flights. And I was traveling to lead some workshops in Australia and was delayed 2 days in a row. The first night we were delayed in San Francisco because of weather, and the second night we were delayed because of mechanical failures. And I observed that there were literally 400 to 500 very unhappy passengers that were stuck at the terminal. So I thought I would turn lemons into lemonade and try to make the most of the opportunity. And my goal was to really kind of turn all those frowns and frustrated faces into people that were happier. So I did put up a sign that said, free ideas, and much to my surprise, people asked me what I was doing, and I would begin a conversation with them where I'd find out what were some of their goals, challenges, or problems, and then I reached into my briefcase and I pulled out a tool I created called the KnowBrainer. And I would lead a mini brainstorming session for anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. I'd write down the notes, and then I would give them the ideas that they generated. And I didn't tell them who I was or what I was doing. I just told them that I wanted to help them. And there was a reporter from the New York Times that actually saw hundreds of people over the 2 days sit down with a sad face and walk away with a smile on their face because they had got the gift of creativity. And so I now call that plainstorming. And what I do is I give out no-brainer tools when I'm flying and help people continue to spread the word and to spread the word about their ideas that they generated as a result of some help.
I think that's amazing. It says something incredible about you, and it also that you had the guts. You are not a person, as long as I've known you, who is necessarily seeking out celebrity. And I think that it takes some guts and some courage to be authentic and, you know, in the moment to do something like that. I think that was amazing.
Well, thank you. I never really thought about it that way. I think my goal has always been to try to help people. I think it was because I was born on Christmas Day, and my goal has been to give people a lot of gifts. And I found the best gift you can give them is the gift of inspiring their imagination and their creativity and helping them learn to be innovative.
We have to touch on one more point, which is you are the 7th most LinkedIn person on LinkedIn, which just had its IPO, an amazing initial public offering. And you have many groups on LinkedIn with over 300,000 members. For business professionals on LinkedIn, what kind of advice do you have for people who are thinking of setting up their own groups?
Wow. Well, find a niche, target some niches that are of interest to your own customers. I started the groups not for my own sake, but to help my own customers or prospective customers communicate with each other and get to know each other. I found that people like to relate to innovate, and it's best if you can relate to people that have common interests, goals, challenges, or problems or passions. And it's not about the size of the group, although one of our groups is the 14th largest. It's about the caliber of communication and discussions that occur. And I'm fortunate that many of our 32 groups on LinkedIn have some real meaningful discussions that benefit the members.
32 groups.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Well, I'm grandfathered in. The limit now is 10, but since I helped LinkedIn grow a great deal at the beginning and to this day, I think they're pretty happy with the groups that we've formed.
That's terrific. Final question, what do you see as your biggest opportunity in the next 12 months?
Wow. Well, I think to bring the community of innovators that we have organized around the world together to meet face-to-face or to meet virtually as well. I think that there's a huge hunger that the members of these groups, not only on LinkedIn, but we've got over 100,000 people in our Facebook groups as well, they yearn to connect with each other. They yearn to get together. That's why actually I think your entrepreneurship events and the bashes that you're putting together in Chicago, New York, and Washington, D.C. are so valuable, is people want to meet. They want to meet Bob Jordan, who wrote this book. They want to meet the other entrepreneurs. So the biggest challenge is figuring out how to bring all of these people together, not only virtually, but face-to-face.
Well, I appreciate your bringing that up and wish you the best with everything, all of your endeavors.
And thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Gerald.